Good afternoon. This afternoon, we have Joe Julian here. We're going to reminisce with Joe. Joe lives here at Rolling Green Village in Woodside. No, I think it's called Woodgate.
It's called Woodside.
Woodside, okay.
Lakewood, it's a Lakewood community.
Oh, that's right. They've combined those two communities. It's
Right.
called Woodside, Lakewood, or Lakeside.
Lakeside. And,
Yeah, well, okay. Anyway, he lives there with his beautiful wife, June. And we're going to find out a little bit about Joe. And we're going to have a little music after we get through talking. So, Joe, how long you been in Greenville?
I've been in Greenville since 1997.
And what brought you to Greenville?
Retirement.
Oh, well, that's a good reason to come. Greenville's a nice town
Yeah,
to
I
work
retired at GE. I spent 40 years with GE, and I retired officially in 1999 after they sent me out to implement the personnel practices in the closure of two plants, Hickory, North Carolina, and Fitchburg, Massachusetts.
Oh, you had a pretty good job with that.
I was psychologically exhausted after the last one. So my retirement was available, so I took it in 1999. Then they hired me back for 5 years, on a pensioner's agreement. So I continued to do that while we built our house over here at Willow Creek Golf Community.
Oh, so you lived here quite a few years. So you
Since
knew
1997.
you knew about this place, Rolling Green Village.
We knew. Yes, I definitely knew about it because my mother-in-law was here for 10 years.
Oh, okay.
She lived in the C building.
Okay, well, that's nice to know. Anyway, a lot of you people know him from another reason. You know, Joe, he participates every other Monday at about 1 o'clock in the afternoon in our piano lounge, and he does a name your tune. Name
That tune.
Name that tune. There you go.
Yeah.
Well,
I introduced that program about 2 years ago. I thought that the people would like to see some music that they remember back from the turn of the century, last century. And they love it. They really like it. And it's interesting. They can name virtually every song I play, but they can't name a song that was popular in the last 5 years.
Well, that's not unusual. I can't think of one that's popular today. Anyway, well, that's great to know. And you lived where did you live all your life? Where did you grow up?
I was born and raised in Syracuse, New York. Nice Italian family. Both of my parents were born here, but they are of Italian heritage. I was educated in Syracuse, grammar school, junior high school, and then I went to Catholic high school, Christian Brothers Academy.
Oh, Christian Brothers.
Christian Brothers Academy.
My brother went to De La Salle in Detroit, which was run by the same Christian Brothers.
Same thing. And then after high school, I went to Lemoyne College, which is a Jesuit school in Syracuse. And the only reason I went to Lemoyne is because the tuition was only $365 a semester. Syracuse was $550.
Well, that makes a good reason for
Right.
Going to the other school.
So I graduated there in 1961. I have a degree in industrial and labor relations. And interestingly enough, that's what I spent my whole career.
Doing labor relations. With General Motors?
With
General Electric?
Right.
Did you ever work here in this GE plant here?
Not formally. I did have an office here, but I never worked formally for the gas turbine business here in
I
Greenville.
see. Well, what they do in GE in Syracuse? What they build there?
And well, they said they had like 7 different departments, but I worked in the television receiver department
Ah, okay.
for 3 years. Then from there, I moved 13 times with GE over my 40-year career. And from Syracuse, we went to Chicago, from Chicago to Auburn, New York, from Auburn to Schenectady, Schenectady to Rome, Georgia.
Well, they moved you around quite a bit then.
Rome, Georgia, back to Schenectady.
Well, doing labor relations, that was probably because you were dealing with unions and employees' problems.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the people I worked with, and it's one of those things where you have to develop a relationship with the union officials, and you have to earn their respect. And the basic element of the whole scenario is that the unions are not always wrong. You know,
Sometimes they're right.
Sometimes they're right, and you have to tell them they're right. You know,
That's good.
so. But,
Well, now, someplace or sometime in your life, you learned how to play the piano.
my father was a musician, and he got me involved in the piano when I was about 8 or 9 years old, and I began taking piano lessons. I remember the lessons were $1 a week. $1 a week, and a big element of my development was when I was able to take the bus and go to my piano lesson alone. I didn't need my father to drive me there. So I took lessons there. I took lessons till I was about 15 from 2 or 3 different teachers. Played a lot of music in high school. As a matter of fact, we had a dance band in high school.
Wow.
It was called the Senators of Swing.
The Senators of Swing.
Yeah.
That's a real catchy name.
And we modeled ourselves initially after Glenn Miller,
Ah.
the Glenn Miller Orchestra. But then, when I was a junior, I was chosen as the student director. So I was the director of the orchestra. I had a sax player who was phenomenal, and he and I decided we wanted to break away from Glenn Miller a little bit. So we began to emulate Count Basie.
Ah.
And matter of fact, Sal Nistico is his name. He went on to play with Woody Herman and Count Basie, Tito Puentes.
He got around.
Professional. Yeah,
Did you ever get into one of the big bands? Did you
No, I didn't. I had an opportunity when I was in high school to go on a Mississippi Riverboat, but my mother didn't want me.
Sometimes though, musicians, when the big band comes into town, they look for local musicians to fill in their orchestra.
No, I never had that. The only big band experience I had when I was like 12 years old, I had the opportunity to direct Sammy Kaye's orchestra.
Oh, and where did you do that?
In Syracuse. They came to Syracuse. And they asked if anybody would like to lead the band, so I raised my hand.
Well, that's something to be remembered, isn't it?
12 years old, I remember.
Oh,
that.
my goodness. Well, that tells us a little bit about your music history. It certainly tells us.
Yeah, I didn't, unfortunately, I kind of got away from it while I was in college and after college. And I really didn't get back into it until about 10 years ago. Well, I always had a piano and I always played for my own enjoyment and family's enjoyment. But about 10 years ago, well, actually it was 18 years ago when my daughter and her husband adopted a little girl from Guatemala.
Oh.
So when she was about 8 years old, I decided that she had to learn how to play the piano. So I taught her.
You taught her how to play.
So now she's going to be 19 years old. She's on her way to the Citadel, and she's a pretty good piano player.
Well, isn't that something? Well,
That's my pride and joy.
Well, you're going to leave quite a legacy.
I hope
Somebody that knows how to play the piano. You taught him. How long you played? You did spend some time in the services, though, didn't you?
Yeah, I was in the reserves. Well, total, I was active duty in reserves 7 years.
Oh, and what branch?
I was in the Army. I was out in Fort Sill, Oklahoma. I was a gunner in a 105 howitzer battery.
Oh, you're proud of that because I know at breakfast many times you're wearing
I always
the
wear
Army.
my hat.
Yeah, the hat, and sometimes a shirt.
There's a real soft spot in my heart for the veterans.
Well, that's good. A lot of us do because they do a great service all of them have. Well, that's interesting. Well, Joe, early on you said you were Italian heritage.
Yes.
Your name Julian.
100%.
Now, that's a little different. There's no J's in the Italian.
I know that.
Okay.
When my grandfather came over to this country, probably around 1865, and all he wanted to do was get a job as a laborer on the railroad, and his neighbor said, you're never going to get a job with a name like Julianello, so you better change your name.
Yeah.
So he changed it to Julian. He dropped a G, changed it to a J, and just went with Julian. But the irony of it is that he used the name Julian for many, many years. All of his children were born and they were named Julian. I had cousins that some of them just recently passed away at 96, 97 years old. Their birth certificate says Julian. Now my birth certificate, 1939, says Julian. However, when my father passed away in 1982, and he used to tell me that the name wasn't Julian. So I wanted to find out what the name was. So I wrote to Albany and to get a copy of his birth certificate. And when I got it, it said Giuseppe Giulianello. And that was crossed out, it said Giuliani. And that was crossed out and it said Giuliano.
Well, that's interesting.
And that was crossed out and it said Julian by order of the court, February 1942. Now I was born in 39, my birth certificate says Julian. But the name was not officially changed until February of 1942 during the Second World War, and Italy was on the other side. And a friend of my father and his brother said, you better go and get that name changed because who knows what's liable to happen. So that's how the name Julian came about.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. We'll go on. Next.
You asked me a question earlier about my music. When I was in like 4th or 5th grade, the music teacher wanted me to learn to play another instrument. My father was opposed to that. But when I got to be in the 7th grade, he finally relented and said, you can play the clarinet. My father played the saxophone and the clarinet. So I learned how to play the clarinet, and I was in the Eastwood High School marching band. And I also played with my father in the Italian American Club band, Italian American Colonial Band. We used to go to towns like Utica, St. Johnsville, Auburn, and play for the Italian feasts.
Well, you had music in your blood.
Yeah, my father played professionally when he was younger.
There's one thing I didn't ask you before. How about the Italian American Club here, Italian American Club of Greenville?
Yeah, it's a very nice organization. I've been a part of it since probably 2014.
Oh.
And I just got finished serving as vice president. I served as vice president for a number of years, and it's grown significantly. You know, we have a good time, and it's just we meet once a month, and everybody brings some food. We have a little Italian feast, but it's primarily designed to exchange for camaraderie and, exchange Italian heritage.
Well, Joe, we're going to get you to the piano eventually, so I hope you're ready. You're going to be playing for a little bit of a while, and I hope the people will enjoy it, and we're going to get this thing on the portal, we think, so that everybody at Rolling Green Village will be able to enjoy this little session we've done together.
All right.
Joe, thanks very much.
Well, it's my honor. My honor. I appreciate you doing it with you, Trey. This is a song from 1945. It's known as It's Been a Long, Long Time. Popular song. This was a popular song in 1935. Very popular. Everyone loved to dance to this song.
Start over.
Okay. This was written in 1925. Very popular song. Everyone knows it. From the Broadway show Pennies from Heaven. Same title. 1971, written by Bob Henderson, a popular song called Bye Bye Blackbird. Written in 1917. It's called Dark Brown Strutter's Ball. This song was written by Paul Anka for Frank Sinatra, and it kind of emulates how I feel about my 86 years. Dancing on the Ceiling, very popular, written in 1930. It's from the Broadway show Evergreen.